Hey guys, it's Carl Brown for GuitarLessons365.com. This is part 2 of the lesson series showing you guys how to play my instrumental arrangement of our Purple Rain by the great Prince. Now before we get to that, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you have subscribed, still please make sure your notifications, you ring the little bell so you can get notified anytime I release a new video. All right, so I'll keep them coming if you keep watching them. So let's start here where we left off in the first video, which is at the guitar solo. Now this solo is really just a combination of things that I've added to things that Prince actually plays. So you heard it at the beginning of the video. So I'm going to just pick up here with this first phrase. All right, so you can see kind of when he starts with an oblique bend. So it's holding the 18th fret on the B string while bending up the 17th fret on the G. And I just kind of pick across them and keep it going. Release the bend, and then resolve it there to the 15th fret on the G. And he really lets this ring for a long time. Some heavy vibrato on it. You might have to pick it a couple times to keep it ringing until we get to that bend. So that's a bend at the 18th fret. Again, release. And you pull off quick from 18 to 15 and then 17 to 15 on the G. So wait for this. So it's a real quick little lick there. And he does it again, a bend and release of the 18th. All the way, pulling all the way off down to that 15. And then I start a little vocal melody, just following the B flat major scale down the G string. So really what you need to do, because what I did there was just completely improvised, I just created vocal melodies. You just need to know the B flat major scale right there in that area. So I'll just kind of show you the notes that I'm using and you can do your own thing with it. Because this starts on the 3rd string, so those notes 15, 14, 12, 10, 8. So you can have a blast just with those notes. Over this section. And then over on the B string, I'm using the notes 8, 10, 11, 13, 15, 16, 18. Just taking up space until we get to his next guitar lick, which Prince actually plays, which is this. Now, parts of that I've kind of, if you hear his solo, it's kind of erratic in sections because it's actually a live recording and he's doing his thing, and not all of it is very loud in the mix. So, but he does start it with those hammer-ons, 15 to 18 on the B, and then the same thing on the high, and into a bend there at the 18th. Do a few bends there. And then another one. Release. And just pick it with some heavy vibrato without the bend. And then he starts this little fast lick. It's a repeated 3-note lick. 15, 17, 18 on the high E. And you just start it slow. And then up the speed a little bit. into a bend, a couple of bends at the 20th fret on the high E string, over to the 18th fret on the B string. Do that bend again at the 20th, back down to that 18 on the B. And then what I do here is I just pull off, which is pulling off 20 to 18 on the B string, down to 15 on the B. Then a full set bend there at the 18th fret on the B string. And then release that bend and pull off to 15, over to 17 on the G, 15 on the D. Then I switch it back to the bridge pickup, and we have this phrase. So I'm just basically doing the same two notes and just an octave apart. So I start with the low one, 8-6 on the D, and I kind of do some bending on that, a little inflection on the 8th fret note. And the same thing up here, 15-13 on the G string. So you have this. So after another couple times, you do the full run all the way down. So we're just going 8-6 on the D, 8-7-6 on the A, really heavily palm muted, 4, and then 6-4 on the low E string. All right, then we get to this next section, which is a kind of a classic melody. So this is when you bring out the lighter. All right. So we have this, or now the cell phone, I guess, is what people do. So we have 11 on the B, and then kind of a trill between those two notes. And then occasionally you'll bend up that 11th fret. So just between these two notes. Pretty simple stuff. So and then I add this at the end of it, which is just that oblique bend that started the solo. And then what I do is just a series of like trills going down the B flat major scale. If you don't know your B flat major scales, check out GuitarLessons365.com. So all that information's there. Whether you're looking at the free lessons or you're in the improvisation courses in the GL365 Academy, regardless, you'll get this information, which is just easy. I'm just basically doing kind of going down one string of those trills and just following the notes of the scale, and that's all I'm doing. But it's really not like kind of note for note kind of thing. Then we go back to the melody again. And that's just a bend at the 18th fret. Pick it again, and then do the bend again. And then we add this little line that takes us to the really kind of dramatic ending part. So that's just 6, 5, 3 on the A string. Over to 6 on the B string. I'm sorry, the low E string. And then 6, 5, 3 again. And then just come and play the power chord off that 6th fret of the B string. And then we get to the next part, vocal melody section, which sounds like this. All right, so for this part, I've gone back to the neck pickup and did this first melody. All right, so we're gonna get into those fast licks that I add to it, but the vocal melody itself is the 18th fret bend on the B string, bring it back down, then pull off 16 to 15 on the B string, and then into the 17th fret there on the G string. Show you this. Now, when you're doing that bend and you got to add vibrato at the top of that bend, it's kind of dicey, but you really need to, because it's a vocal melody, you want to mimic what he's doing. And then we have the next phrase. So that's a bend at the 16th fret now. Bring it back down and pull off 15 to 13 on the B. Into a bend at the 15th fret of the G string. All right, and then we have a half step bend at the 15th fret. So that half step bend, bring it back down, over to 13 on the high E string, then on the 13th fret on the B string, a bend and release, over to 15 on the G. And here I add the first fill. Now what I'm doing there is I'm just playing really just pentatonic scales. You can look at a B flat major pentatonic once again, or a G minor pentatonic. And I'm doing kind of an Eric Johnson style descending lick there. So I'm going to start it here with just hammering on 12 to 15 on the G string, and then 13 to 15 on the B, and 13 to 15 on the high E. Slide up to the 18th fret. And now I start the kind of Eric Johnson-y type stuff, which you can do if you want, or you can just do your own little lick there, just using the G minor pentatonic scale. So we're just gonna play. Now, these are what I call Rollin Fives, which are Eric Johnson uses this lick a lot through pentatonic scales. It starts out actually with a group of 3. So I'm going to show you guys how to pick it too to make it a little bit easier. We have 18, 15 on the high E string, over to 18 on the B string. So that's our first group of 3. Then we're going to start our groups of 5 by starting back at the top note and going 18, 15 on the top high E string, 18, 15 on the B, and 17 on the G. Now, the picking is what's important here. We have 18, 15 to that 18 on the B string, and that goes down, up, down, and then you roll your finger back over to get to that top note, and you do it as just a solid 1 downstroke across those 2 strings. So it's a little mini sweep. And then you continue, so you treat that downstroke as the first one of the next group of 5. Alternate pick all the way till you get to the 17th fret there on the G string. And once again, you start the next group, that's the last note of the group of 5. You go down, down, back to start over the next group of 5, which starts on the B string. So we have a group of 5 starting on the high E, and then on the B, then on the G, and then on the D. So the entire time I'm just going down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down. And this last one, instead of going there, just take it down to the 13th fret there on the A string. And when I get there, kind of add another little melody note sequence of 15 to 17 back to 15 on the G. All right, from there we start the vocal melody over. And here it's a little bit different. We still do that half step bend at the 15th. And then we do a bend at the 18th fret on the B, up to the 18 on the high E string. And then a bend and release to the 18. And do that kind of lick that we did earlier. And then once again, I use this as an opportunity just to kind of improvise on the G string using B flat major. That's all I'm really doing in the video. And then back to the vocal melody. All right, so those little spaces allows me to have some fun here. So we start the same, basically the same vocal melodies before where we did that little bend to 18 and grab the 18, and then I just flicked it down to the bridge pickup. So I just started. Now the thing is I wanted to do kind of a lick here based off of an open string. And there's not a lot of these in this key strings that you can use too much in the key of B flat. There's just a couple. So we're basically I'm going to do it off the D string. I'm going to hammer a little trill between 7 and 8 on the D, and then pull off to the D, and then hammer on the 8th fret and do that same trill between 8 and 10. And pull back off to D. So that's the lick. So just get the lick down first. Pretty simple. And then just learn where to put the fingers going up the B flat major scale, up the D string. So just 7 and 8, then 8 and 10, 10 and 12, 12 and 13, 13, 15. 15, 17. I think, I don't know if I'll go all the way up to 17, 19 or not. And then I have a, that is an economy picked pentatonic lick. Instead of doing that, I pick it. So we have 15, 17, 19 on the G string, 18 on the B, 15 on the high E, 18, 20, into that bend. So how I pick that is just down, up, down on the first 3 notes on the G string, but then it's a sweep across 3 strings. From that 19, which is a downstroke, 18 on the B, which is a downstroke, and the 15 on the high E. Into that big bend there at the 20th fret. And I just kind of release it, and then I go back to G, the G minor pentatonic, form and just kind of improvise a little thing on the top 2 strings. So nothing important there. I'm sure you can do your own thing. And then when it hits the F chord in the progression, I do this big kind of sequence, this F major arpeggio that covers a lot of fretboard. So that's the 20th fret here to the 17th fret there on the high E. So we have 20, 17, then 18 on the B, and then 17 on the G. Slide it down to 14. So with this. So I just picked that with down, up, 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 slide. And then you play just 15 on the D and the A, just a couple of upstrokes. Then down on the 12th fret of the A and slide it down to the 8th fret there. Now when I get to the 8th fret, I just add the octave on the G string there, the 10th fret with it, and just move up 8, 10, 11, 13, and then we get to the free time section, which is so once again, I'm just kind of using B flat major scales around that B string. keep. I'm going to kind of just resolve it there on that note, and I go into this two-string tap arpeggio thing, which is a big Steve Vai ripoff. Sounds like this. So that arpeggio, now how you play that stuff is you just, I'm going to be tapping this top note, this B flat note. So it's actually a B flat major 7th arpeggio. I'm tapping the note of this 18th fret there on the high E string, then pulling off to 13 and pulling off to 10. So we have this. Then you hammer onto the B string at the 11th fret, pull off to 10 and back to 11. So we have this so far. And then you go back up by hammering back with the just the 10th fret there on the high E, 13, and then back to the top note. So we have this. So I keep that pattern going, and I just change the top note from being 18 down to 17, which is that major 7th note there, the A, and then back to the 18 and 20. So then into that bend at the 20th fret, and then I end it basically with the same lick, the same kind of descending 5s, Eric Johnson stuff. Just kind of end it there at that 13th fret on the A string. So basically this arrangement is a combination of Prince, David Gilmour, Steve Vai, and Eric Johnson. So at least that's how I look at it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.